Peter Jennings.
It's the Super Saving Sale at Clark Thompson Furniture. Super markdowns throughout the entire store. Everything's on sale. And with everything you buy, 24 months free financing. 2 full years of no interest. Clark Thompson has a huge selection of beautiful, quality, famous name brand furniture. And all with low prices. And 2 full years free financing. 24 months, no interest. It's only at Clark Thompson Furniture during the Super Saving Sale. East University in Hubble. Hurry today for the best selection.
The Olympic Games feature our nation's best. And now, your Jeep and Eagle dealers are featuring theirs during the Jeep and Eagle National Drive for the Gold sale. Get a Jeep Cherokee with package discounts and cash back. An Eagle Talon with terrific savings. Or an Eagle Summit Wagon with air at no charge. So see your dealer and drive for the gold today. It's the perfect way to celebrate all our nation's best.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can expect the best. You're watching Channel 5.
Who is often young, is often at risk of reproductive-related conditions.
The panel was unable to determine whether leaking silicone from implants causes diseases, as some reports have suggested.
There is no concrete evidence of a cause and effect relationship.
The panel called for more studies on that, but the members were clear on what a woman should do if her implant breaks.
If it has been determined that the implant is ruptured, it must be removed.
The panel could not say how long implants might last, but warned they should not be expected to last a lifetime. And they advised all those who have implants to see their doctor for regular checkups, especially if they have any problems. While these recommendations are not binding, the FDA usually follows the advice of its advisory panels and will announce its decision within 60 days. In the meantime, the temporary ban continues. Whatever decision is reached, all women who get silicone gel implants in the future will be required to register with the FDA and submit to follow-up examinations. Bettina Gregory, ABC News, Washington.
A kind of long-term study recommended some time ago by our medical editor, Tim Johnson, who joins us here in New York this evening. Tim, is this going to dampen down all the furor about breast implants, do you think?
I doubt it, Peter. I think those who wanted a total ban and those who wanted no restrictions are going to be disappointed. My own instinct is that when both sides are mad at the FDA is probably doing the right thing.
I think women, or some women at least, are going to be confused. Where do they go now to get really trustworthy judgment on whether they should have them or not, or have them removed or not?
Unfortunately, I think women are looking at both doctors, plastic surgeons in particular, and the companies that make these implants as partisans. And I think they're going to rely more and more on the due process of the FDA and the hearings we've been through and the final recommendations. And I think that's a good source of advice and a place they can trust.
So as someone who's followed this fairly carefully, you're happy with what the FDA panel has been saying today?
I think they should have done this 15 years ago. That is, required all women who have implants to be put in a registry, followed for their lifetime, to build up a good database so we can give women truly informed consent.
Alternatives from someone who's grossly uninformed in this. What about saline implants?
In general, they have not produced the same cosmetic result as silicone, but I suspect we will be seeing a wider use of saline now that there has been a restriction put on silicone.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Tim Johnson, ABC's medical editor. In a moment, some of the other news. The economy, a fortunate 500 find jobs at a Chicago hotel. On the American agenda tonight, how the recession is threatening the nation's education goals. And finally, apologizing for a fall from grace.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Infiniti.
Well, here's something. 2 successful CPAs, obviously on a business-related trip, huh? If it doesn't look like a bean counter's car, that's because it's not. This is a driver's car, pal, an Infiniti. And that is one confident lady. You see that? She didn't even get a receipt. Infiniti. Makes you want to take up driving again, doesn't it?
It's a comfort to know more people have taken Sominex over the past 30 years than any other sleep aid. Safe, simple Sominex.
My granny's spaghetti recipe. With ordinary grated topping? Oops. Some are 1/3 fats and fillers, But Kraft is 100% grated Parmesan for 100% great taste. Granny would approve.
In the economic news today, there is still no sign that the employment situation is getting much better. 450,000 Americans filed new claims for unemployment benefits in early February, and that is 18,000 more than the week before. Tonight on that subject, we want to follow up on a story we first reported on last month. Follow up on a scene, really, which for millions of Americans very quickly came to personify what it means to be unemployed. It was that very cold day in Chicago when thousands of people lined up for a handful of jobs at one hotel. The jobs have been filled. Here's ABC's Bob Jamieson.
Welcome to the Sheraton. This time, the people in line outside the new Chicago hotel waited to begin their first day on the job. They are what a newspaper called the Fortunate 500, the 500 who were hired. They were chosen from the 9,000 people who stood for hours in snow and bitter cold just for a chance to apply for the jobs.
May I please be the first to welcome you to the Sheraton Chicago.
Dorothy Rawling, out of work for 4 years, is now able to get off welfare. And Sam Kimbrough, laid off 15 months ago as a security guard, is starting a better job in the Sheraton's convention department. For some who were hired, this is a better job than they have had before. But there are others who have had to settle for less because the recession took away their careers. 32-year-old Claudia Tucker had worked her way up from flight attendant to manager in 11 years at Midway Airlines. Then it shut down in November. She has an entry-level job in customer relations at the hotel at a fraction of her former salary. How do you feel about starting over?
Nervous, scared, excited. Just ready to give it all it's got now.
28-year-old Scott Lane lost his job in an electronics firm when it closed his division because of poor sales last year. He has been hired as a bartender.
We're the lucky ones. It's tough.
You feel lucky?
Yeah, I'm lucky to have a job.
Economist Diane Swank says that is true for more and more people.
It's a tough environment. What we're seeing already is that people are starting now to lower their expectations. They're taking reductions in their standard of living. They're taking part-time employment instead of full-time employment.
Aren't you proud that you have this role today?
In from the cold, the Fortunate 500 have joined this week's training sessions with enthusiasm. But more than 8,000 people have been left outside. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, Chicago.
For all its problems, 1991 overall was a good year for trade. The government says that record exports helped to narrow the U.S. trade deficit last year to just over $66 billion. It's large, but it's the smallest deficit in 8 years. The recession has hit home for President Bush. Literally, you've probably heard Mr. Bush list a suite at a hotel in Houston as his official residence for tax and voting purposes. The hotel, $3 million in debt, has filed for bankruptcy. There was a strong rally on Wall Street today. The Dow Jones Industrials gained more than 50 points to yet another high of 3280, and the trading was heavy. And still on the economy, some indication that the Japanese investors in this country are becoming disenchanted with investing in American real estate. Case in point, the sale of the Pebble Beach Golf Resort in California 2 years ago to a Japanese businessman. There is word today the deal has gone sour, as apparently have many others. Here's ABC's Gary Shepard.
Pebble Beach was considered a trophy property when Japanese developer Minoru Isutani paid $850 million to acquire it in 1990. After failing to win approval to sell private golf club memberships for $750,000 apiece, Isutani has now bailed out, taking a $350 million loss. Isutani is one of many Japanese investors who have been burned putting their money in America. In 1989, Mitsubishi paid $1.4 billion to buy controlling interest in New York's Rockefeller Center. That investment is now worth 1/3 less. A Japanese group paid $110 million for the Bel Air Hotel in Hollywood. Now it's worth less than half that amount. The Japanese own nearly half the major office buildings in downtown Los Angeles. Their value is down 25 to 30% since they bought them.
They tended to buy properties at a point in time when they were at their highest value. And as a result, all the projections for values were very rosy. Nobody thought about the bubble bursting.
A survey released today says new Japanese investment in American real estate plummeted to only $5 billion last year from $13 billion in 1990.
The loss of the additional capital coming from the Japanese
had a negative impact and contributed to the decline in commercial real estate values through most of the country.
It's not just the Japanese who've been hurt by making investments here. Americans have also suffered losses. But with less Japanese demand, it may be years before real estate values return to their once lofty levels. Gary Shepard, ABC News, Los Angeles.
In other news today, the woman Mike Tyson was convicted of raping says she was offered $1 million to take back her story before the trial began. In an interview with Barbara Walters, to be seen on 2020 tomorrow night, Desiree Washington would not say who made the offer, but she also said that if Tyson had come to her before the trial and admitted that he was wrong and needed help, she would have dropped the charges. The sex researchers, Masters and Johnson, are getting a divorce after 21 years of marriage. He's 76, she's 67. They say they have different goals for the balance of their lives, but they'll still work together and remain great friends. We'll be back in a moment.
I wear a partial, this lateral incisor.
I lost this.
If you wear partials, you know what you've lost. But here's what you've really been missing. New Polident for partials, with the power to clean the pearly part and the metal part in just 5 minutes. So get new Polident for partials.
Can't believe he broke it at the company picnic.
Incredible. Our employee health plan covers him, right?
Not deductibles or co-payments.
So he has to lay out his own money.
Gaps in your health plan can be costly. AFLAC can help. AFLAC is a leader in supplemental insurance with 35 years of dependable service. Today, employees of over 80,000 companies count on AFLAC for the peace of mind to get on with life.
Any ideas?
Yeah, AFLAC.
AFLAC, insuring over 35 million people worldwide.
When I was little, I was always getting caught with my hand in the cookie jar. And I still love sweet things, like Sunsweet pitted prunes. So you see, nothing's changed, except my cookie jar.
For painful gas, which would you choose? Your antacid or Gas-X, the tablet made for gas? It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to fight gas faster. Faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas-X.
Doctor.
Is it right for me?
Habitrol. It's a patch. Well, you know, the patch.
Habitrol.
Habitrol.
You know, Habitrol.
It's a patch.
It's new.
Habitrol.
Ask your doctor about Habitrol, nicotine transdermal system.
Thanks, Doctor.
In the Middle East, the Israeli military has been on the move inside Lebanon. The move between Israel and the Muslim militia today amounted to fighting. Hizballah and the Israeli army have been trading rocket and artillery fire across the Lebanese border for nearly a week. Today, Israeli troops captured 2 villages they say have been used as bases by Hizballah fighters. 2 Israeli soldiers and 4 militiamen were killed. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds.
All day long, Army guns pounded Hizballah positions north of the Israeli-controlled security zone in southern Lebanon. Ground forces and helicopter gunships tried to destroy launch sites for the 100 Katyusha rockets that have landed in or near northern Israel since Sunday. Panic-stricken Lebanese villagers left the devastated area to the control of Hizballah militiamen, who fought intense gun battles with the Israeli troops. UN peacekeeping forces who attempted to stop the Israeli advance were brushed aside, and 4 UN soldiers from Fiji were wounded in a crossfire. Although they sent in reinforcements at midday, the Israelis insisted this was not a full-scale invasion.
This is a very limited operation for a limited period of time and is of limited scope.
That was meant as a signal to the 40,000 Syrian forces in Lebanon that they could relax, that there is no Israeli intention to expand the conflict. While this is a military operation, it does have a political impact. It comes right at the start of the general election campaign here, an election that is expected to be dominated, as usual, by the issue of national security. Israel's Labor Party has just replaced its relatively dovish leader, Shimon Peres, with former Defense Minister Itzhak Rabin as a way to attract security-minded voters. Rabin will face Prime Minister Itzhak Shamir, who tonight is being renominated by his Likud party, and who can use today's raid into Lebanon as proof that he will be aggressive in pursuing the nation's enemies. Dean Reynolds, ABC News in northern Israel.
News related to the Middle East from the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee today, a report that hate crimes against Arab Americans, from physical violence to threatening phone calls, went up dramatically in 1991. The organization attributes it to anger over the Gulf War. And a survey by the Anti-Defamation League of the B'nai B'rith finds a similar rise in attacks against Jews. which it also attributes to the war in the Gulf. Overseas again in South Africa, what may turn out to be a very serious setback in the process of ending the system of racial segregation. The ruling National Party has lost an important election for a seat in Parliament, which it has held for 40 years. The National Party has lost to the Conservative Party, which is committed to preserving white power. ABC's Don Cladstrup reports from South Africa.
Only hours after the Conservative Party's stunning victory, its members declared their party now speaks for most white South Africans. President de Klerk challenged them to prove it.
A referendum is...
De Klerk told white members of Parliament he would hold a referendum as soon as possible to let white voters decide whether he should move ahead with his plans to share power with blacks. On national television, he vowed to resign if the vote went against him.
We cannot be tainted, even by an impression, however wrong it might be, that we do not have a mandate and that we do not represent the power base which elected us.
But those who oppose what de Klerk has done so far say that's exactly what yesterday's by-election means. Stop.
It shows that de Klerk has got no mandate. The people, the whites, has discarded him. He's got no mandate at all.
Some see yesterday's election not as an endorsement of the right, but as a reflection of the uncertainty among many whites about where President de Klerk is leading them.
White South Africa is not moving clearly to the right. No, White South Africa is standing still and saying, hey, where are we going?
But if de Klerk is defeated and forced to resign, many other whites fear the worst.
If we lose, then we can probably say goodbye to the country.
I think de Klerk is holding the whole thing together at the moment in this country,
and
if he goes, who will hold the place together?
Until the referendum takes place, that's a question no one can really answer. Don Cladstrup, ABC News, Johannesburg.
In Belfast, Northern Ireland today, supporters of the Irish Republican Army threw firebombs at police and set cars on fire. It was a demonstration against the U.S. decision to deport Joseph Doherty. He was forced to leave the U.S. yesterday and was taken back to the British prison in Belfast from where he escaped 10 years ago. Doherty was a member of the Irish Republican Army when he was convicted of killing a British officer. A leader of the extreme right wing in El Salvador, Roberto Dobison, died today of cancer. Dobison was often accused of being behind the death squads that killed thousands of suspected leftists in El Salvador during the 1980s. He was only 48. We'll be back in a moment.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
Did you know that V8 has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad?
Wow!
And did you know that V8 is 100% vegetable juice, so it has no fat, unlike that low-fat yogurt?
Wow!
So how do you feel now that you know these things?
Wow! I gotta have a V8.
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
I just can't stand this anymore. How am I supposed to fall asleep with this pain? I could take one of those nighttime pain relievers with a sleep ingredient. But all I really need is Advil to help stop the pain that's keeping me up. Just Advil. That's all I want. Without the extra sleep ingredient, I don't want. Advil is so effective, it relieves the pain, so I can get to sleep.
Discover the relief of Advil at bedtime. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Would you buy a John Deere lawn?
This is the Channel 5 News Special Report.
Welcome back to Channel 5 News. There has apparently been a major break in the case of a week-old Norwalk baby kidnapped yesterday.
Just a few minutes ago, the family was called to police headquarters in Norwalk, and we have word that Norwalk Chief of Police Mike Richardson has just come out and is speaking to reporters. Let's go live to Steve Karsten, who is in Norwalk. Steve?
Well, Gail and Dennis, Police Chief Mike Richardson has agreed to join us and give us some of the details of their investigation thus far. The body of an infant has been found.
That's correct.
And where is the location of that?
It'll be south of Norwalk.
What's happening right now? Obviously, the family has been told. Where has the body been taken?
The body has been taken to the Divisional Criminal Investigation Lab.
An autopsy will be done there?
That's correct.
This body, is it of Shane Last?
It's believed to be of him, yes.
What will authorities be doing in the near future?
Forensic pathologists and experts in the field will be contacted and be asked to investigate in this case as well.
How were you led to the area where the body was located?
As it indicated before, there was no specific area that we were looking. It was generally in the area in Norwalk, and it was one of the search teams that did locate the body.
Okay. And what time did this search team locate the body today?
Approximately 3:30 this afternoon.
What has been the reaction from the last family?
I did not talk to the family myself, so I cannot give you that information.
Okay, Police Chief Mike Richardson, thank you very much for joining us. Gail and Dennis, again, the police chief says that a body has been found. He believes it to be that of 7-day-old Shane Lass. We'll have more details on this story for you coming up on our news at 10 o'clock.
Such an unfortunate outcome. All the volunteers were hoping that we might find young Shane alive at this point.
Yeah, they certainly were, Dennis. The volunteers are still at the Methodist Church. Obviously, they know that the search has been called off. A tremendous outpouring of support in this community. Unfortunately, it did not turn out as people had hoped.
All right. Difficult for a lot of people to accept. Steve, thanks very much.
So an autopsy to be performed on the body of a week-old baby found by search crews in the Norwalk area. Of course, as Steve mentioned, we will bring you the very latest when it becomes available.
This has been a Channel 5 News special report. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming.
The little music they do have in these rooms without pianos is led by local volunteers, but it's only a stopgap. Charlotte Superintendent Paul Stapleton has dreams and plans for new schools, more computers, more exciting learning programs.
You'd like to work toward that. But the recession just means, well, that definitely goes farther back on the back burner. You have to just keep pushing that back.
You just need enough glue for the glitter to stick, but don't put a whole bunch of it, okay?
The recession has only increased Charlotte County's needs.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members in your family?
But even in wealthier counties like Chesterfield, which does have school clinics and health aides, big gyms with full-time gym teachers in new school buildings, there has been serious belt-tightening. Class sizes have started to creep up because although there are more students each year, there's no money for more teachers, which principals tell us would be their first priority.
And get those class sizes down to a level to which the teachers can spend more time individually with children.
Chesterfield has worked hard to save money. They cut 9,000 school bus stops. Kids have to walk a little further. They've delayed building a school planned for this site and made do for another year with temporary trailer units. But the recession is also threatening the kind of reforms that can make a difference.
We're going to gather our data.
Like this new middle school program in which all the teachers collaborate to help their students learn better. It may be cut if the recession does not end.
Several things have all...
The recession has had one advantage. It has helped cut down some top-heavy bureaucracy. Virginia's central office, which administers all these schools, was trimmed by 1/5, 140 positions, saving $7 million. Virginia's Secretary of Education, James Dyke.
I think in some cases, concern about the budget gave us the leverage to get some things done that perhaps could not have been done in a more prosperous time. It's probably not a bad idea to go through a reordering of priorities, which is what we had to do internally, to see how we were spending the money, how we could spend it more effectively and more efficiently.
The good news is that Americans are now so concerned with the need to improve the schools that even under the pressure of the recession, budget planners have tried to make schools the last place they cut.
How many 6s are in 18?
But the belt tightening has now been done and is beginning to get painful, threatening America's schools and dreams for reform with serious damage.
We all want a better system. We'd like to be on top of the world by 2000, but the thing of it is we need some money to implement programs so we can be there.
What's the picture of?
The recession may have helped educators appreciate what they really need. What they need now is for the recession to end. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, Charlotte County, Virginia.
Today's American Agenda. When we come back, the apology.
You've just poured yourself a bowl of Kellogg's Crispix. When?
Hello? Mom, what a surprise. Well, actually, my cereal's sitting in milk.
When will you get back to your Kellogg's Crispix? It's anybody's guess.
Uh-huh. But they wouldn't give your money back?
Fortunately, Kellogg's Crispix stays crisp and delicious in milk.
I'm sure Aunt Helen didn't mean it that way.
Even if you can't get to it right away.
Uh-huh. Still crispy. You're absolutely right, Mom.
Kellogg's Crispix, the taste that waits for you.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, a special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
To help relieve her heartburn, regular Rolaids uses an aluminum salt, but his antacid is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
It's like a Swiss Army knife. Durable, reliable, versatile. Hatch goes up, seats go down.
Downshifting into a curve, I can feel the GT's 16 valves kick in.
Kicking and screaming. Well, you know kids. But my escort wagon gives them room to spread out.
Outstanding value. Finally, a sophisticated car I can afford.
Ford Escort, America's most popular small car, for a lot of good reasons. Now with financing as low as 2.9 for up to 48 months.
Gay and Sasha, healthy orphans, drugged and warehoused in mental wards, along with thousands of others. Where in the world could this happen?
This is a picture of ultimate human tragedy.
Primetime takes you there. Tonight.
Finally this evening, the apology. We were quite surprised today when we heard that the Japanese figure skater Midori Ito had made a formal apology after she fell at the Olympics last night. And so we asked ABC's Bill Redeker, who's based in Tokyo for us, whether this was common practice.
A lot of skaters, after a fall like this, would blame themselves. But Midori Ito went even further and apologized to all of Japan. I am sorry. I made a mistake, she said. No one questions her sincerity, but apologies are almost automatic in Japan. Every day, everywhere, everyone here says they are sorry. Apologizing is so much a part of Japanese culture that foreign executives who want to do business here now go to school to learn the technique. But instructor Eiichi Shiraishi admits saying you are sorry does not mean you have done something wrong.
I believe in most cases the phrase "I'm sorry" or "sumimasen" is often used to be diplomatic. People here don't always mean that they are truly sorry.
Which brings into question the sincerity of Japan's recent apologies. Was Prime Minister Miyazawa really sorry when he apologized for questioning Americans' work ethic? And did the emperor really mean it when he apologized last year for Japan's occupation of Asia during World War II? Linguistics professor John Maher says, look beyond the words.
The question is not the words themselves, it's the person behind the words, who's saying it, and what they mean by it, and what the apology is going to do.
By that measure, Japanese apologies sometimes ring hollow. Example, a month ago, Japanese Prime Minister Miyazawa visited South Korea and said he was sorry that Korean women had been forced to provide sex for Japanese soldiers during World War II. There were hints Japan would back up its apology in some material way. But today, the Japanese Foreign Ministry said there would be no compensation at all for those women. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Tokyo.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Thursday on Columbo.
Will you marry me? There can't be any connection between her deciding to get married and her being dead. Could there?
Just tell him the truth.
Peter Falk in Murder in Malibu, Thursday at 8, 7 Central.
Before you choose a body shop, can they handle the insurance claim? And will the work be done at your convenience? If you don't know, you better get Mako.
Waiting for the right cable TV offer? TCI has the right offer right now. Call 1-800-8-INSTANT. Have cable installed within 24 hours for only $9.95 guaranteed. Save up to $50. Order cable TV now. Enjoy great premium entertainment on HBO and Encore for only $6.95 a month through July. If you don't have cable TV, don't miss these special savings. Call 1-800-8-INSTANT or your local TCI, Heritage, or Westmark cable office now. Instant install ends Friday. After that, it's over in an instant.
Sergei and Sasha, healthy orphans, drugged and warehoused in mental wards, along with thousands of others. Where in the world could this happen?
The Soviet Union needs unthinking manual workers. That's what's going on.
Plus, ratting on the mob once meant certain death.
Why'd you do it? To survive, to stay alive.
Wise guys, what they're saying and why. Please join us for Prime Time.